We are back. Welcome back to the WebCast. It's Tuesday. That means NFL picks. Doug is here with me. Let's go. Welcome back to the WebCast, All Sports, One Web. I must apologize. We were out all of last week. We had some stuff come up and we were not producing content for you guys, so I apologize for that. But we are back, and what a great week to be back for. We got a great game last night in the NFL there in Mexico City. Mexico playing today in the World Cup in Qatar. A great week of World Cup action coming for you. Thursday is obviously Thanksgiving with NFL football. The classic Lions hosting. The Dallas Cowboys are hosting. Going to be some great games there. Friday, USA versus England in Group B of the World Cup. We're going to preview that before this week is out. And we got, of course, the last week of college football, rivalry week as well. The game, Michigan, Ohio State in Columbus on Saturday. So we got all of that this week. But Doug, how have you been? How have you enjoyed the sporting week that we've had? The World Cup kicking off, NFL heating up. Great game for the Chiefs as well last weekend.
Yeah, it was a good NFL weekend for me. It was a stressful college football weekend for me with Michigan nail biter against Illinois, and it was a exciting and then demoralizing World Cup weekend, or however you want to call it, because man, I thought we had it, but it was a good weekend.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. First half from the U.S. versus Wales yesterday. We're going to get into that. We're going to step up our World Cup coverage here as we are finally up and running in Qatar. Oh, it feels so good to have the World Cup back. For all of you that are on the East Coast of the United States, games from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 games every single day for the next week and a half. It is magical. Friday, such a huge game. England versus the U.S. England sitting atop of Group B. The U.S. tied with Wales in second and third, and then Iran bringing up the fourth place there. No wins. They took a 6-2 loss against England. England looked so good yesterday.
Harry Kane got hurt, so yeah. I'm nervous. As a Spurs fan, he got taken off in the 75th minute, and he was limping after the game and had some wrap on his ankle. So we all know Harry Kane has glass ankles. So
that is for sure.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that is for sure. But they definitely have enough talent to give the U.S. problems. So we are going to preview that for you. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into our NFL picks for week 12 of the NFL season. We missed last week. We did go 8-6 though, however, and pushed our rank up to the top 160,000. So we are moving on up 91-57 on the season. We do all of our picks through ESPN.com. So go ahead and make your picks through ESPN. And, as we hit the back end of the season here, and pick along with us, and we'll see who finishes higher at the end of the season. We got a great slate of Thanksgiving games. First one on the docket here, Buffalo taking on Detroit. And we missed the last 2 weeks here of Buffalo. A great win in Detroit due to the snowstorm there over the Cleveland Browns, but losing 2 weeks ago dropped them to 7-3 after Minnesota went in there and chained Kirk Cousins, dropped an L on Buffalo. Now they go to Detroit, who always plays well on Thanksgiving, and is, as you predicted 3 weeks ago, is on a 3-game winning streak. The Detroit Lions are. Who do you got Thanksgiving Day? Bills, Lions.
Historically the Lions play great on Thanksgiving, but I don't know if they can beat the Bills. The Bills are way too good of a team to drop a game to the Lions. They get beat by the Dolphins okay, I understand they have a very high-powered offense. They get beat by the Vikings, understandable. The Vikings are a really good team, but to get beat by the Lions, I'm not sold. So I'm going to have to go with the Bills in this one.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the most interesting stat of the Lions last week, quarterback 176 yards passing, running the leading rusher 65 yards rushing, leading receiver 76 yards receiving. And yet they scored 31 points. Absolutely crazy there in New Jersey. They took down the Giants last week. They are giant killers, the Giants, the Packers. Why not the Bills? Well, because the Bills are a way better football team. I got Buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as that. Their defense is stepping up, it seems. But, I mean, it's a really tough ask against Josh Allen and the Bills. Yeah, I don't know that you get much tougher other than, the Chiefs, really.
Yeah, exactly. As the Chiefs keep showing everybody a great win there in SoFi Stadium on Sunday Night Football against the Chargers. Absolutely fantastic. Speaking of the Giants, they are now sitting at 7-3, and the Cowboys, after their annihilation of the Vikings, I don't know of another game this season from start to finish was as dominant as the Cowboys were on all facets of the game. It literally was sack, punt, touchdown. And that was it. Like they got the ball back instantly from the Vikings, and then they just drove down and scored. No, they could do. Ezekiel Elliott was getting what he wanted. Tony Pollard out of the backfield, catching down the sideline. Every receiver was going crazy. And Dallas was absolutely unstoppable. The Giants coming off a loss against Detroit. But I'm calling this the OBJ Bowl. Thursday night, 4:30. Thanksgiving Day, the OBJ Bowl, because he is going to meet with both of these teams and make a decision on which team he is going to join. And I just have to expect that it's going to be the winner. So who wins and who gets OBJ for you Thanksgiving Day?
Well, I think the Giants should get OBJ. I think he should go back to New York. It's where he started. He might as well finish there. They're a good team now, so it's, he left, did his thing. Well, now they're a good team. He can go back and make them even better. But Dallas at home, riding that high against Minnesota, I think that's going to be tough. But I don't know. I mean, New York Giants have one big problem that the Vikings didn't have, and they have Saquon Barkley. So I think this is going to be a really, really, really good game, but I do think that the Cowboys just edge it out ever so slightly in a nail biter on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that they aren't on top of the world right now after thrashing the Vikings. And it's not the Vikings have one of the best offenses in the league. I mean, you say they don't have Saquon Barkley, but they only have, Dalvin Cook and TJ Hawkinson, and Justin Jefferson was limited to 3 catches and 33 yards. They pulled the starters at the end of the third quarter because they just couldn't do anything offensively and were behind by too much. In the third quarter, an 8-1 team pulled their starters in the third quarter because they were losing. Absolutely incredible. I think Dallas Cowboys are getting into their stride, and I think that they won't have any problem with the Giants, who have been playing really well, but I just like the Cowboys there at home on Thanksgiving. The last game on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Does that mean that you think Dallas get OBJ?
Yeah, that was tough because, I think so. I think that would mean that they get OBJ because he, even though he does already have a Super Bowl, he wants to join a team that is going to be contending. And I think the Giants are too much of a project. Even they've had a great start to the season. The Dallas Cowboys are a more finished product that could use that additional touch, and OBJ can provide that. And I think that that's a safer bet for him to go there. I like him at the Cowboys.
I think Dak is better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
so
that's true too.
I think that also plays a part.
Yeah, huge part. All right. Patriots at the Vikings, Thursday night football. You got the Vikings bouncing back and taking out their anger on Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the Vikings come out and they put 40 on the Patriots. I I mean, I know the Patriots are always very good tactically and defensively, but the Vikings are not going to be happy with the way that happened. I guarantee they got home and they cried about it. And then the next day they were working. They didn't get any days off after that, butt whooping they took.
They
They
had a day off
definitely,
during the game.
that's what I mean. They definitely got to work the next day. And I think they're going to show that they actually, that was a fluke. They're the real deal. And, I think the Patriots are going to take the brunt of that.
I agree. I think they're coming out with a lot of energy, but my problem is the problem the Vikings had was they had 7 sacks, like all of them to Micah Parsons. And Judon isn't Micah Parsons, but he is. I mean, I think he's almost the sack. He was the sack leader after like 9 weeks. I don't know if he still is the sack leader for the Patriots. So I just don't know. I mean, they're going to have a good week of practice and they're going to be focusing on that because letting up 7 sacks is not something that is a recipe for success. So especially with Judon coming in. So I really wonder how that's going to go, because if anyone is going to replicate what Dallas did, it would be Judon, the Patriots defense, and then maybe running Stevenson like they did Tony Pollard out of the backfield, the little pass catching there as well. So that, I think, is a recipe for disaster for Minnesota if they can't shore that up. But I think Minnesota will end up winning this one. I think they just have too much talent for Mac Jones. I mean, I just don't believe in Mac Jones at all. You say that Dak Prescott is better than Daniel Jones. Mac Jones, I think, is just terrible. So don't know how to say it other than that. You can tell I'm still bitter about.
Yeah, he'll continue the trend of terrible pro Alabama quarterbacks.
Yeah. Hey, Tua will have a word. Jalen Hurts and Tua.
Well, yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. All right, that completes Thursday night as we move Tampa Bay taking on the Browns. The last game before the Browns get Deshaun Watson back in game action. He is already practicing with the team, but they got to take on 5-5 Tampa Bay with Tom Brady after a bye week. Any chance for the Browns in this one?
I would really love to think so, but I don't know. What's the weather going to be like? Because I think that plays a big factor here.
Better than you would think. I think maybe a slight bit of rain, maybe a little bit of wind, but nothing like last week with the snow in Buffalo and the lake effect that was happening around there.
Okay, then Tampa win.
Off Lake Erie, but then Tampa win.
Then Tampa win. I mean, if it was going to be, 24 degrees, snowy, windy, I think the Browns win. They have a better run game. But if
any run game is a better run game than Tampa Bay.
But if they don't, if it's going to be a nicer day, if it's above 45 degrees, I think Tampa Bay win.
Okay, so you're going off of the weather there. I'm really interested in this one because I want to see what the Browns do in prep for Deshaun Watson. If there's any signs of, I'm really interested to see if they're going to play Deshaun Watson to start, or they're just going to stick with Jacoby. We'll know that in 2 weeks when they take on Houston. But I'm interested on that front. And then I'm also interested. Rachaad White started that game in Germany against Seattle in the backfield for Tampa Bay. Leonard Fournette ended up getting hurt midway through the second quarter there, and White ended up with over 100 yards rushing. They had a bye week to try and keep figuring things out, especially on the offensive line. So I'm really interested to see who's going to be starting in the backfield for Tampa Bay and how they're going to use, if they might use both with them coming off of a bye week. So I think that Tampa Bay is going to be, for the first time this season, actually close to what they were last year offensively. Not all the way back, but definitely better than they have been. I don't know that they've scored over 24 points this entire season. So I'm expecting more than 24 this week against the Browns, having a bye week and hopefully a good showing there against Seattle. All the receivers getting healthy as well. So I think Tampa Bay in this one, regardless of the weather, because they get better on the ground.
I do agree. I do think they'll win. I just think that basically the only way the Browns have a chance is if it's, really, really bad out. But you said it. You hit the nail on the head. The receivers are getting healthier. If Julio can play more than 15 snaps, that is a big deal. If Chris Godwin can stay on the field for more than 3 quarters, that is a big deal. And then Mike Evans, he's obviously has been doing it by himself for a while. Getting Chris Godwin back just opens him up more, and getting Julio back, arguably the best receiver of all time in my eyes, anyway. Getting him back, yeah, big time. I mean, nobody beats Megatron for me, but Julio is he's just a freak athlete.
Yeah. Megatron's one of those players where we just were, almost like a Bo Jackson type, where it was like so great for a short period of time, and it's just not long enough.
Do. Yeah. It is unfortunate, but he was Barry Sanders as a wide receiver. He just the Lions wouldn't let him go, and so he said, "I quit." Like, I quit football then, because he could only do so much. He could only have so many 15 catch, 200-yard receiving games, and just lose concussions. He's like, I'm tired of this.
All right, as we move on to Bengals at the Titans, a rematch of the playoff game last year where the Bengals went in 2-10 to the first seed Tennessee Titans and beat them on their way to the Super Bowl. You got Jamar Chase could be back for this one. The Titans, obviously, after that 0-2 start, 6-1 since, including Thursday night, going into Lambeau, into the snow, and sending the Packers' playoff hopes completely down the drain, getting a win there. Derrick Henry obviously can do what he wants right now. Who do you have in this one?
This is going to be a close game, but I have Tennessee because Derrick Henry can do no wrong. Nobody can stop him. I mean, nobody can stop him. That's all there is to it. Until somebody figures out a way to stop him, then I will basically not pick Tennessee anymore. But there's just nobody can stop him.
Yeah, 28 carries. Again, workhorse back last week against Green Bay. They got 10 days to prepare for this one. Jamar Chase coming back could be huge for the Bengals. They had a couple weeks there of figuring it out without him. Great performances in there from Joe Mixon and from T. Higgins. They definitely carried the load. So maybe that could be a blessing as we approach the end of the season, getting that offense more spread out and not relying as much on Jamar Chase and really getting it spread out through all of those weapons. Great performance last week with the win. Burks, though, for Tennessee really came on at Lambeau. Even Hilliard catching touchdowns out of the backfield as well. Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans are undefeated this year when Derrick Henry has one or more receptions. All you got to do is throw it to him and you guarantee a win. There are 3 losses this year. He has 0 receptions. He's played in every single game. I think they need to get back to that, especially with Ryan Tannehill behind center, because getting Derrick Henry in space is always a good thing with the ball. But 2, it just opens up the box and it allows them, even if you have Hilliard catching passes out of the back, if you go with a 2-back set, which I don't think they really do very often, it just opens up the defense a little bit. Burks can keep going, and he had 7 receptions for 111 yards against the Green Bay defense last week. So I think that can open it up. Them being at home, I think, is a big thing as well. And revenge. We'll talk about revenge on Friday as well as we preview the game on Saturday, Ohio State versus Michigan. But Tennessee, I like them as well in this one. Houston, what to say about
Houston? We have a problem. And it's called the team.
The whole team.
The organization.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say about him. Does
Lovie Smith still have a job?
He still has a job. Lovie Smith still is employed by he cannot do any wrong from Houston's perspective, I guess. But I guess anything is better than Bill O'Brien there as head coach GM that he was. So they got Miami. 98% have Miami winning at home. Tua and the crew You got anything besides that, or
No, this is going to be an easy, smooth sailing victory for the Dolphins.
Yeah, off a bye week as well. I got no chance there. All right. The Bears, Justin Fields continues to shine in that offense and do a great Megatron impersonation by lighting up the stat sheet and not winning a single game. So they will now travel to the Jets, who Zach Wilson seems like this season has been doing nothing and winning games. So what do you got?
I think I saw something that Robert Saleh is not committing to Zach Wilson being the starting quarterback next game.
Yeah, I would support that decision.
So with that being said, I mean, I'm going to go with the Bears because they seem to be playing well. Justin Fields is playing well enough. You would think at some point he would carry the team to say, come on, guys, I need you to just step up a little bit and then we can win a game. I think that's this game. I think maybe they can come in and into New York, and I think they can win this one. It's definitely not going to be an easy game. I think they could get it done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Zach Wilson, a QBR of 45 on the season. He has 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 1,200 yards. I think Justin Fields has more touchdowns and yards in his last 3 games than Zach Wilson has on the entire season. So
he may at the end of the year have more rushing yards than he has passing yards.
Yeah, and that's absolutely ridiculous. He's on. So I think they have to win one eventually. And after that performance against New England in Foxborough, I just don't see them putting up enough points to keep up with the Bears. So I like the Bears to go in and win this one.
It just makes me feel bad because if they had Roquan Smith still, this could be a different Bears team if they would have, tried for, if they got Chase Claypool, but maybe if they tried for somebody else too, they should have been barking up the Odell Beckham tree for sure, trying to get him to come talk to them. But obviously, why would he go there?
Yeah, but here's a question for you. Which team long term, if you were the general manager and you're looking at every team in the NFL and your goal is to win a Super Bowl in between 5 and 10 years from now, which team would you join over the Chicago Bears?
If I'm talking long term,
right? So obviously, you look at teams like the Chiefs and stuff like that. They're going to have to do some sort of rebuilding here shortly because of the amount of money that they're paying. Like Patrick Mahomes is going to keep going up. Travis Kelce's getting older. All of them getting older. But yeah, so I'm saying 5 to 10 years from now, based on their current situation, would you pick anyone over the Bears? I
mean, maybe the Jets or Giants. Maybe.
Yeah, but I like Justin Fields in the way that he's playing and the way that offense can operate under him way more than the Jets and the Giants. Daniel Jones and Joe Flacco. That's what we're comparing.
Well, I'm thinking mainly just team in general. The Breece Hall and that young defense. You got Sauce Gardner, stuff like that. So I'm thinking as a whole. And I'm not talking Zach Wilson. No, we'll draft somebody within 5 to 10 years. We'll find the quarterback. And if we don't, then we'll trade for Justin Fields. Or whatever we got to do.
You sound like the Browns from 1997 to 2027.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much.
Super exciting to be a Bears fan. I think right now we got them going into New Jersey and picking up the win there. Only 26%, pretty surprising there. 83% though, riding the Washington Tyler Heineke bandwagon here as they take on the Falcons at home. Who do you got?
I do think that Taylor Heineke will win this game because the Falcons they're close, but they're just not there yet. And they don't have that X factor that can really decide a game. Cordell Patterson will have a good game here and there, and Kyle Pitts will do some good things, but I don't think they're as good as a team as a whole as the Commanders. And I didn't think I'd say that at the beginning of the year. I thought Washington would really not be good. but they turned out to be their solid team so far.
Yeah, the Falcons are really interesting to me because going into the season, I think many people had them bottom of the division. And granted, the division hasn't been very good, but they win this game and Tampa loses. They're right there, top of the division with Tampa. Going into their bye week, as they haven't had their bye week yet. Oh yeah, they have. Yeah, 5-6. How is Tampa 5-5 and they're 5-6? I don't know, but so. They're right there at the top of the division, which is very surprising. But I agree with you. I just don't think they have enough. I've never thought they've had enough. And yet here they are beating the Bears last week, playing a lot of teams pretty tough.
That's what I mean.
That great game against the Chargers a couple weeks ago. I just can't believe in them to win a game, but they're sitting there at 5-6. I don't.
Yeah, they're so close. I mean, they're literally 2 or 3 players away from, winning 12 games a year, with the way they're playing. And it's insane, but they got some sort of camaraderie in the locker room or something that they are really thriving under the situations that they've been put in. I know 5-6 isn't a fantastic record by any stretch of the imagination, but it is for that team on paper, where you don't really think of any of their players as superstars. Yeah. They have Marcus Mariota as their quarterback, and, he did good things at Tennessee, but then he ended up getting benched to Ryan Tannehill, who we all thought Ryan Tannehill wasn't even a good quarterback. You know what I mean? So it's not like he got benched for Patrick Mahomes or he got benched for, Josh Allen or anything like that. No, he got benched for Ryan Tannehill, who got pushed out of Miami. So I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. I just think that Washington's too good.
Yeah, and I can say the same thing about Washington. Chase Young should be coming back, I believe, this week. I think they held him out last week, and more of a precautionary. So I think he'll be back this week. They're at home, winners of 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good stretch of games for the Washington Commanders, and it's not like they've played nobody. They've played really decent teams, and they've won tough games.
Yeah, and even pushing the Vikings there to the end as well, 2017 in that one. That's their only loss in their last 6 games. Absolutely fantastic. I got to go with Washington on this one. The fact that Washington's in last place in their division, a better record than the Falcons at 6-5 is absolutely incredible. NFC East doing it on everyone this year. Denver, are they replacing the Raiders in exile for you?
Yeah.
Are they joining the Raiders in exile after that game with the Raiders?
Supposed to be the best division in football, and it's not. It's not even close. The Raiders are terrible and the Broncos are terrible. The only good teams are the Chargers and the Chiefs. And this is twice now where I believe in both games this year, the Chiefs only beat the Chargers by 3. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that is.
I'm pretty sure the first game we only won by 3, and this game we only won by 3.
Yeah, and 2 great games, by the way.
Fantastic games, fantastic teams, hard-fought wins. And then you have the Broncos and the Raiders, who are just not good. The Raiders play the Chiefs tough, but then they don't play anybody else tough. And so you can't say they're a good team if they only play one game hard. I don't know. But honestly, this game is not going to be a very good one, in my opinion. I think it'll be a snooze fest because Denver, they have really no offensive weapons at the moment. Well, at least they're not showing that they have any. And Carolina, they're struggling for offense. So I don't think this will be a very good game.
No, I think whoever can score 17 wins this game. Absolutely. I think is the goal. So who do you trust more to score 17, Carolina or Denver?
I think Denver because they have Russell Wilson. I've been saying it all year, but goodness gracious, it's week 12. He's got
They're the complete opposite of the Falcons. We keep saying they have nobody and they win, and the Broncos are like they have people and they have people.
And I believe they just released Melvin Gordon too.
Okay, the thing that is crazy about Melvin Gordon, I swear, I remember a couple years ago watching him I was stuck in the airport and I was just watching the Chargers game when he was with the Chargers. Austin Eckler was young, just kind of coming up, but they had that great 1-2 punch with Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. And they were inside the 5, I think it was, on 3 consecutive possessions. Or no. Yeah, 3 consecutive possessions. And he fumbled inside the 5 on 3 consecutive possessions. It was incredible. When I was watching, he obviously fumbled last week against the Raiders. I think that was a big reason why. He has a fumbling
earlier
problem
in the season. Yeah, they benched him, and then he didn't play the second half because he fumbled, and he fumbled again last week. It's unfortunate, and I believe they picked up Latavius Murray and Marlon Mack. The backup Kings.
Marlon Mack coming back alive. Wow.
Yeah, so it's the backup backfield now.
Yeah, that's great. You heard it here. Coined by Doug. The backup backfield for the Broncos. Are they getting them the victory in Carolina with the?
I do think so because I've always loved Latavius Murray. I think he runs as hard as Derrick Henry does. He's just not as big. That's his downfall. Yeah. He's just not enormous.
Yeah, he's always shoulders over his knees, and he just tries.
He just falls forward. Great. That's what he does. Yeah. I think that Carolina is just not good enough.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Carolina played with such fight after all of that turmoil that they had with Matt Rule leaving and Robbie Anderson and kind of the rehaul there, bringing in PJ Walker, now him going out. I think they've just kind of fizzled after that. And I agree, snooze fest, but Broncos were going to get to 17. So I got 17-14 Broncos late field goal. The Ravens quietly at 7-3, maybe. 1 game out of top spot in the AFC now. The Ravens sit as they take on Jacksonville. They have obviously Roquan Smith continues to do what he does now in the colors of purple and blue. Any chance for the Jaguars?
No, and I'm still upset that the Ravens are not 10-0. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. They should be. But that's all right. They're 7-3. They're starting to make up for it. I think they're a phenomenal team. I think they just need to finish games. That's been what they've been doing all season long. They've been playing great. But I don't think Jacksonville have a chance.
Yeah, and pretty decent end to the schedule where they will probably be favored in all but maybe 1 game to close out 13-3. Really going to make a push. That number 1 seed, so important this year in the NFL, is only 1 team will get a bye. And not only are you the only team with a bye, but you will then host every game until you lose or make the Super Bowl. So huge game here to keep it going for the Ravens. I agree. I like the Ravens, even in Jacksonville, to get the win. Chargers, injuries everywhere. The Cardinals, injuries everywhere. Who is going to be healthy enough to get a win in this one? The Cardinals losing out in Mexico City on Monday night. Can they return home just across the border there and get a win against the Chargers?
This is going to be a pretty good game. But if the Chargers play like they did against the Chiefs, I think the Chargers will win.
Yeah, it's just the Cardinals. They are both these teams really. If they can stay healthy, they can really compete with anyone. They have the offensive firepower and the defensive solidity at times to be good enough to beat anyone. It's just whether or not those things are going to align. And then the question mark is, can Cliff Kingsbury lead the Cardinals? We've seen the Chargers really rally with all of the problems that they've had. And so I agree with you. I think we're going to go with Chargers in this one to pick up the win, even in Arizona. But I think that's one of the best games of the week.
I agree.
And I think that one could be fireworks. I really hope Kyler Murray returns for that one as well. Raiders, are they in exile for you? 2 weeks ago, before our last episode, you said they were in exile. They proceeded to allow Jeff Saturday in his first coaching game ever to go into their place, allow Matt Ryan to run for 39 yards on a single play, the most he's probably had in his entire career combined, just in one thing. And they lost. They went on the road and beat Denver last week in overtime. Are they still in exile for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I Here, how's that answer for you? I will not pick them to win. They can play the Houston Texans, and I will pick the Texans. I don't care. I mean, they are so much better. And this isn't as a Chiefs fan. This is as a Raiders are too good to be playing as this bad. Like, there's no reason that the Raiders should be 3-7. Period. Yeah. I'm mad because our conference, our division looks terrible because
of the Raiders.
Because the Broncos and the Raiders aren't playing like they should be.
Yeah.
They are way better than this.
Yeah.
The Broncos have a great defense, and they have Russell Wilson, who showed when he was at Seattle and he had nobody. He only had Tyler Lockett, and he was still throwing for 4,000 yards a season, 5,000 yards a season, winning games, making it to the playoffs. And now he has more weapons. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Yes, he doesn't necessarily have a running game, but he never has had a run game. So it doesn't matter. It's frustrating. I think the Raiders are terrible, and they are going to lose this game.
Yeah, I agree, especially there in Seattle. Who would have thought at the end of college football, especially with the Raiders lose, I mean, not in division, but the Vanderbilt has more wins in the SEC than the Raiders do in the AFC conference. Absolutely ridiculous stat that I never thought I would be able to say, but go Vandy, go. After their great 2 weeks that they've had beating who they beat last week, Florida maybe it was. I got Seattle, Geno Smith there at home over the Raiders as well. Josh McDaniels. So for you got Houston over the Raiders if they were to play. Does that mean you want to fire Lovie Smith, but would you want to fire Josh McDaniels more?
Man, I think so. I mean, he's just not doing a good job. That team is way better than they're playing. He is not a head coach.
Yeah, and you can tell that by penalties. I really want to ask, some player one day, how do different coaches handle penalties? Because for me personally, watching all these different teams, and even in college a little bit, but predominantly in the NFL, I just feel like penalties are a coach's problem. If you have more penalties, I blame the coach more than I blame the players. I don't know if that's accurate. Discipline. It should just be discipline. And so I blame, and you can tell, I mean, the Cardinals have that problem. The Raiders definitely have that problem. They shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, the Raiders, how many times last game they started 1st and 20 because of a holding call on the first play? Absolutely ridiculous. They're shooting Josh Jacobs in the foot before they even get off, and he's the only one who's consistently producing for them, maybe outside Devontae Adams when he's not pushing over cameramen. So I got Seattle in this one, and I think that, Josh McDaniels and Lovie Smith, sadly, need to return to more coordinator positions, maybe where they are best suited.
Lovie Smith should just retire. Josh McDaniels should just go back to being an OC. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. The worst defending champions in the history of the Super Bowl era, the Los Angeles Rams, 3-7 after 10 games. Kansas City Chiefs played the hardest schedule to date and sit at 8-2 and host the Rams. Any chance? Cooper Kupp now out for the season. Matt Stafford injuries as well. Any chance for the Rams to keep up with Patrick Mahomes at home? No chance.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. The Rams are, again, much, much better than this. But it's been injuries, and their running back situation. Cam Akers injured last year, comes back this year. Is just not even a shadow of himself in college. It's tough. I hope they pick, a few running backs in the upcoming draft because it's desperately need it. And they need another wide receiver. Losing Robert Woods, that's huge. And Odell, obviously, those were huge. Cooper Kupp, obviously doing everything he can, but it got him hurt because they used him for every single play. It was Cooper Kupp or bust. And he got hurt. You can't rely on somebody in such a physical sport like that. You just can't rely on him to do everything. And it's really unfortunate because he was on another MVP season,
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah, he was on his way because he was putting up some crazy, crazy numbers. It's just unfortunate. So that's That's why I'm not screaming for Sean McVay to get fired, because I think that injuries have been their problem, and a little bit of general managing has been their problem with.
Yeah, you sell out to win a Super Bowl.
They let people go,
that,
and they don't bring in replacements.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things too, to keep a Super Bowl team together, because all of your, quote unquote role players become star players on other teams because of the fact that they won a Super Bowl. It makes it harder to keep players, especially when you have the amount of injuries that the Rams have on top of that, and everyone wants to beat you because you're the champs. It just makes it so tough. Super Bowl hangover is there for a reason, not because the team necessarily is worse, but because of all of those factors combined. The Chiefs, however, reload and re-go every single year, it seems like. And I agree with the 95% that have the Chiefs winning this one at home at Arrowhead. As we move on to the Saints, Niners, obviously the
more
Niners,
injury-riddled teams.
Yeah, two exactly. Niners coming back though on the back upswing there from their great overall performance against Arizona, top to bottom, even though Arizona had all those injuries there last night, Monday Night Football. They got Deebo Samuel playing everywhere. They got Christian McCaffrey playing everywhere. They got George Kittle catching fire once again. Jimmy G knows how to run that offense. That defense we always knew was good when healthy. Nick Bosa as well. I think he has 10 sacks in 9 games now that he's been back.
I mean, if
San Francisco
didn't get injured, it would be he would be putting up some really, really serious numbers.
Yeah, and he's going to continue to do that, especially as they play with a lead probably in most of the games. You got anything but a Saints win in this one. 49ers win in this one. That's why I say all that.
Yeah. No, the 49ers, I think they're starting to finally play as good as they should be, as good as they were expected to be. And it's just because of the injuries. Injuries are a real thing, and it's a lot of times that gets overlooked. Oh, why are they playing so bad? Why are they only, why are they 4-7? Well, the Saints are 4-7 because, Jameis Winston was their starting quarterback, and then he got injured.
And their whole wide receiver core got injured.
All of their wide receivers are injured, and it's just like, Alvin Kamara was injured. So half of their offense, and I don't even know about their offensive line. I would bet their left guard was injured. I would bet on it. So a lot of times you don't really think of that. And I even find myself doing the same thing. Like when I talk about Tottenham have a lot of injuries that I don't really think about. And, we still win some games. We still draw some games. And it's like, yeah, we played bad, whatever. But we're missing a lot of pieces. And, what is it?
Sorry, you said you missed a lot of pieces. I was going to chime in your trophy cabinet, but I just leave it at that.
Whatever. San Francisco on the
way. Team that is no stranger to Super Bowls, both the Packers and the Eagles. 9-1 now. The Eagles bouncing back with that late touchdown from Jalen Hurts to beat Jeff Saturday and the Colts last week. Green Bay, I don't know. We'll see how the attitude is there with their season practically over already. In Philly for this one, who do you got?
I got nothing but a Philly win. I think the Packers are really, really bad. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think Aaron Rodgers still has it. It's just they refuse to help him out. And obviously the older he gets, he's not going to get more athletic and be able to do it more by himself. So, like they do with Tom Brady, they give him all the pieces and he can still make it work, but you don't give him less. Less is not more in this scenario. So I just think there's no chance that the Packers will be good with Aaron Rodgers anymore because they refuse to play with him.
Yeah, and even so, the 2 games, two of their best games have when they leaned into their true identity now, which is running the football. And when they do that, they're going to need him to play well in certain moments. We saw the last time he threw 3 interceptions in the end zone against Detroit. So that's just not going to help either.
I know why he threw 3 interceptions in the end zone. He does not have Devontae Adams to throw to anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree.
When you're in
totally
the red
agree.
zone,
Yeah.
when you're in the red zone, it gets harder because you have less field to work with, and the defense has less field to cover. So it gets harder for a quarterback. That's why in the red zone and at goal line situations, you need a few plays that you can kind of go to. Well, you can design any play you want, but when you don't know who that play is going to, or you don't have somebody
Place
you
to
can
the
trust.
strengths.
Yeah, when you have Aaron Jones as your best receiver, best hands, best route runner, best receiver overall, but he's also your running back. You want him in the backfield to have that threat, but if you throw him outside, that he's getting the ball. It's just that's the issue. Even when Megatron, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, when they line up outside and it's 3rd and goal, that they're getting either a fade in the back of the end zone, they're getting a slant across the middle, and Stafford, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, they're all going to throw it right where it needs to be put, and those receivers will go up and get it, period.
Yeah.
They will come down with the ball. Who does that on Green Bay right now? Who can do that? Who can he rely on? Nobody. So that is why Green Bay will not be good until – really, they won't be good with Aaron Rodgers anymore. I honestly believe that because I do not think they will back him. I think they don't like him, and they're just kind of whatever will wind down your career. So they're like, we're done with you. We're over it. But we want you to keep mentoring whoever their backup is that they drafted 2 years ago.
Yeah, imagine if they had any faith in Jordan Love whatsoever. Yeah. It's similar to Trey Lance. You see what they say, and then you see what they do, and you're like, you have zero faith in either of those people. Because there's no way you can talk about Trey Lance as the 49ers did. You can talk about Jordan Love the way that Green Bay did, the way that they gave away picks to go get them, and do what they've done in terms of who they're playing.
And then you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in front of you who still has years left in him, and they're refusing to get him receivers.
Yeah, it was dumb to get.
Yeah, so what does Jordan Love think? Why would they get me receivers? I am a unproven nobody right now. Sure, they jumped up in the draft to pick me, but I am literally a nobody compared to Aaron Rodgers, and they refuse to get him help. It just is, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they have something in the works for next season, and they're gonna win the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers will be an MVP. I don't know. Yeah. It was not. I think Aaron Rodgers may retire after this season because this is rough. I don't think he wants to do this again.
Or he returns back to the Bay and takes over from Jimmy G and plays for San Francisco. But we'll see how it goes. All we know is that this week Green Bay will be going to Philadelphia, picking up an L, and returning back to Lambeau 4-8.
If he went to San Francisco, that would be rough. That would be bad news for the NFL.
Yeah. And there's also talk about Tom Brady returning home as well, playing for San Francisco after this year. But we will see. Tampa Bay can get things together and make a run. Pittsburgh, TJ Watt, one of the best defensive plays you'll ever see last week, where he's so good at getting up to block a pass. But in this one, you just saw it on Joe Burrow's face after he threw it too. He just couldn't believe what just happened. He jumps up, gets pushed as he is jumping up to try and bat it down, is then falling sideways, is able to tip it and catch it as he does a somersault and intercept it. For a 6'5", 6'6", 280-pound defensive end to be able to do what he does after coming off of a pec injury as well. Absolutely incredible. Matt Ryan, though, we've seen his 4.4 speed against the Raiders. Can he get away from TJ Watt?
More like 7.4 speed.
Is he going? Yeah, see, that's why the Raiders are on an island by themselves. Oh, my
exactly.
God. Colts, Steelers, who you got?
Man, this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a very defensive game. And it's not because the defenses are stellar. It's because the offenses suck. This is going to be another Denver versus who'd they play? Denver,
Carolina.
Yeah, Denver, Carolina. It's going to be another one of those. I I think the Colts will win.
Really?
I do, because they have Jonathan Taylor. And I think Matt Ryan is better than any quarterback that Pittsburgh have. So whether he plays bad or not, he's still better. He's still going to run for 40 yards. And I think that he's going to carry them literally to victory.
You see, that's the thing, right? So we saw when TJ Watt is in the game for the Steelers, I think of the Steelers as playing a different game than their opponent. Okay. Their opponent has to go 80 yards to score a touchdown. But when you have TJ Watt, you just have to go 50. I give you 33 yards because he is so disruptive that he's going to either get a turnover, force a short field in some shape or form at least 3 times in the game. Just like guaranteed because of how dominant he is when healthy. And so it's, can Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor go 80 yards, and I don't know who's going to start. Pickett to Pickens, go 50 yards. You know, like that's it. That's all I'm looking for. And for that reason, I think that this is maybe pick 6 wins it in this one. And I actually like the Steelers to go into Indianapolis and get the win.
You know, I'm biased because Jeff Saturday's a center. I played center in high school.
Can you not love Jeff Saturday?
I think he's going to have this offensive line ready to play against TJ Watt. I think they may, they're going to do their double teams.
I don't think that's possible.
I do. I think it's going to be tough, and it's going to leave somebody open for whatever blitz they want to Matt Ryan. But I think the goal for Jeff Saturday all week will be TJ Watt will not ruin this game. Put it this way. If I was head coach, that would be my game plan. Coach, how do you want to score? By not letting TJ Watt ruin this for us. That's it. That is how we win, is by not letting him win for them. He's that good. I agree. He is that
he's
good.
Played.
Where if you can make sure he doesn't win the game for them, then I think you have a serious chance to win. But if you don't, you don't win.
He's played 2.5 games. Okay. He has 2 interceptions, 1.5 sacks, and that doesn't count the number of batted balls, the tipped interceptions, it doesn't account for any of that. And he played the Bengals twice. It's not like he's playing. He played the Bengals twice as well.
Well, the first time he played the Bengals, they didn't know what their offensive line was. Now they figured that out, so it's a little different now. Maybe that's why they.
So he just did it again last week.
Maybe that's why the Bengals played so poorly for the next few weeks, is because they were just so hurt by how bad he beat them.
Yeah,
they just were demoralized. That's the TJ Watt effect.
Honestly, it's absolutely incredible.
Let me ask you this: is he more? Before we discuss this more, do you think he's more disruptive than JJ was when he was in his prime?
That's so tough. JJ was.
Who's the better Watt?
Monster, man.
Yeah, but was he this disruptive? I know it's a different position. It's, one's a defensive end, a little more active. And, JJ was more of an interior. But, well, no, he did play defensive end in the earlier days. He's more interior now. But, what do you think?
JJ, he was a monster, man. He could beat anyone. He was more like Aaron Donald in a way.
That's what I was kind of
or
comparing.
Von Miller. In terms of his ways to move, get past an O-line, get a sack, be disruptive. And he was great at pass, getting up there. Same as TJ, getting up there, breaking passes. I think he's the only player in NFL history to have a fumble return for a touchdown, an interception for a touchdown, or the only player in history to have catching a touchdown, return a fumble for a touchdown, and get a pick 6. I think he's the only one, or at least one of a few players in history to do that. And that's because he does the same thing that TJ Watt does, where he can get up. He was, for those 2 or 3 years where he was like defensive player of the year for 2 years in a row. He was
every year
absolutely unstoppable. And the only thing that got him was injuries. But and right now, maybe we're comparing, TJ. We're seeing TJ Watt's prime, and it's been a while since JJ was fully healthy in his prime. But but it's hard to think. I mean,
Right
TJ
now
Watt
for
is
right now for me,
incredible.
right now for me, I have to give it to JJ because it's just too early to tell for TJ. I mean, honestly, we obviously know he's going to be great, but
Yeah.
is he going to put up the numbers and do this for as long as JJ did? I mean, JJ Watt did this for like 10 years. I mean,
look at this.
He's healthy. He's still doing it for Arizona. Obviously, it's not the same, and he's not
Yeah.
as good as he used to be, but he's still doing it.
I mean, he had 70 sacks in 4 seasons.
Yeah,
70 sacks in 4 seasons, JJ Watt did. It's incredible. But the thing is that I give TJ Watt, I think he just disrupts anything. You tried to pass, he's there. He's just always there. And that team is so terribly offensively that you would notice it way more if TJ Watt wasn't there. We've seen it by their record 3-7. They're 2-1 in games that TJ Watt played. So it's absolutely incredible the difference that he's made, the points per game difference. And the reason why is not just because he can get a sack or force the quarterback to hurry. It's because he just stops offensive from moving. And that's why I got the Steelers in this one.
I would look to see the Colts run directly at him, because the worst thing you can do to a pass rusher is run at them, because they're
trying to go up.
Yeah, their goal is to get around the offensive lineman, and that just makes their job easier if you run it right behind him, because he takes himself out of the play.
Yeah, he's too.
So I would look to see.
He creates the hole.
Yeah, absolutely. He 100% does. You tell Jonathan Taylor, just, pause for half a second, and then your hole will be there. And I would look to see that happen a lot. That would be my game plan. Run directly at the problem, because he's going to open the hole. It's not like Ray Lewis. You can't run at Ray Lewis, because Ray Lewis will be there wherever you run.
Yeah, so Ray Lewis fills holes.
That's a different animal. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, that was what the difference was with JJ is it didn't matter what you did. If you were passing, he would get to you. If you were running, he would notice you were running, and he would just stuff the hole. He may not make the play, but he would be a wall. And we'll see if TJ can do that. But that would be what I would do. But I can go with, you got me all hyped up about TJ and JJ and all that.
It's also on Monday Night Football.
So I'll go with Pittsburgh, but I do think the Colts are going to play well. I will be watching this game, and I would like to see, I'd like to see how they go after TJ Watt, because you can't just let him do whatever he wants, because he will ruin the game. They need to attack him.
It's going to be interesting to see how Jeff Saturday coaches that one. Monday Night Football, first game under the lights against arguably the best. I mean, not arguably the first superstar defensive player that's going to be rushing against his offensive line. It'd be great to see what he has in store, getting that extra day as well to prepare on Monday Night Football. It is going to be a great one next week under the lights. We are returned to everyone back playing in the NFL, 16 games, all 32 teams in action as we get through all the bye weeks and head towards the end of the season. But that are our picks through ESPN.com. College football playoff selection committee rankings came out for their last week of the college football season, and we have confirmed that the game will be between number 2 Ohio State and number 3 Michigan as they stay put in the top 4 after this week's edition. We will go through all of that on Friday when we preview that game, as well as go over the college football rankings. LSU sit at number 5 as they really doesn't really care about this week's game, as they are already booked their ticket to Atlanta in the SEC championship game, where their path to the playoff lies in terms of Georgia. But we will get there on Friday. From all of us at the WebCast, we are happy to be back. That's Doug. I'm Adam, and we will see you on Friday.